a 93-year-old woman living quietly in Oregon, hadn't made headlines in years. Then somebody told her that Hollywood was making a movie about the most dangerous love story of her life, and that they had cast Sydney Sweeney to play her. She picked up the phone, called the Times of London, and said 5 words that broke the entire internet. She was totally wrong for me. This is the story of Kim Novak, Sammy Davis Jr., and the forbidden romance that Hollywood threatened to bury, and why in 2026 it's still too hot to touch. Stay with me, because this one goes deeper than you think. Before we get into the drama, you need to understand who Kim Novak actually is, because she is not just some random old actress with an opinion. Kim Novak is a veteran performer, a star of Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo, one of the most celebrated films in cinema history. In the 1950s, she was one of the biggest names in Hollywood. Columbia Pictures had her under contract. She was on magazine covers. She was the it girl of her era, a 2-time Golden Globe-winning actress of Hollywood's golden age. And now at 93 years old, she stars in a new documentary about her time making Vertigo that debuted at the Venice Film Festival last September. This woman is not done. She is still sharp, still present, still very much has opinions. And when she heard what Hollywood was cooking up about her most private chapter, she made that very clear. If you are already feeling this story, you are exactly where you need to be. Welcome to Tales from the Psyche, where we go deeper than the headlines. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button right now and turn on your notifications, because we tell stories like this every single day. Now, let's keep going, because it is about to get a lot darker. Here's where the story gets cinematic. Kim Novak and Sammy Davis Jr. first met in 1956 when they were both guests on The Steve Allen Show. Sammy was wildly attracted to her from the moment they met. The duo sparked dating rumors the following year when Sammy visited her on the set of Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo in 1957. Think about that picture for a second. Sammy Davis Jr., one of the most talented performers alive, showing up on the set of a Hitchcock film just to be near Kim Novak. This wasn't casual. This was something real. Their chemistry became publicly noticeable during a performance at the Chez Paree nightclub in Chicago. He sang directly to her while she sat at a stage-side table, in front of everyone, not hiding it, not pretending. Actors Tony Curtis and Janet Leigh helped Kim and Sammy by inviting them to parties, giving them a way to connect away from the intense public scrutiny. And after meeting again at a Thanksgiving charity ball in California, Kim Novak invited Sammy Davis Jr. to her family home in Chicago for Christmas in 1957. She brought him home for Christmas. In 1957, when interracial relationships were still illegal in several states. That tells you everything about who Kim Novak was, but not everyone was happy about it. This is the part of the story that most people don't know, and it is genuinely disturbing. Their relationship failed to pass the test of time. Kim and Sammy's whirlwind romance ended in 1958, and the reason was not a loss of love. It was intense racial prejudice and death threats from Hollywood studio executives. Death threats from studio executives. Their covert affair became big news when a Chicago gossip columnist wrote a detailed account of their relationship in early 1958, including their plans to wed, despite their public denials. 9 days later, Davis married a black chorus girl named Lorraine White. 9 days. That's how fast it happened. One gossip column, 9 days. And Sammy Davis Jr. was married to someone else. It ended after Columbia Pictures executive Harry Cohn threatened Davis through his mob connections. That is not a rumor. That is documented history. The mob, Hollywood's most powerful executive. Death threats, all because a black man and a white woman fell in love in 1957. Kim Novak has maintained that their bond was built on love and respect. She hoped their relationship would help break down people's racial bias during a period when interracial marriage was still illegal in many states. She was determined to keep seeing him, even when everyone around her told her to stop. She fought for it, and they still tore it apart. I need you to pause for 1 second right here. If this story is hitting different, if you never knew any of this, that is exactly why Tales from the Psyche exists. Hit that like button right now. It takes 1 second, and it helps this story reach people who deserve to hear it. Now, because it gets even more interesting from here. Fast forward to today. Hollywood decides this story deserves a film. Director Coleman Domingo, making his directorial debut, is set to bring a biopic called Scandalous to the screen, casting Sydney Sweeney as Kim Novak and David Johnson as Sammy Davis Jr. Sydney Sweeney, one of the biggest actresses on the planet right now. Fresh off The Housemaid, Euphoria, Anyone But You. On paper, a massive get for this film. But then somebody told Kim Novak. Kim told the Times of London in an interview published March 27, 2026, just days ago, that she would never have approved the casting. She argued that Sydney, and I'm quoting her directly here, sticks out so much above the waist. She said what? She continued, "There is no way it would not be a sexual relationship because Sydney Sweeney looks sexy all the time. She was totally wrong to play me." A 93-year-old legend just told one of Hollywood's biggest young stars that she is too sexy to play her. And then, as if that wasn't enough, amid Kim Novak's comments, Sydney Sweeney's past statement about Hollywood's fake feminism resurfaced. Sydney had described the industry's women empowering other women narrative as fake during a Vanity Fair interview back in November 2024. So now the internet had two stories running at the same time. An older woman tearing down a younger woman's body, and a younger woman who had already said the sisterhood in Hollywood isn't real. The internet did not miss that irony, not even a little. Now here is where it gets even more interesting, because Sydney Sweeney's response told its own story. Sweeney clearly didn't agree with Novak's assessment. She was actually one of the people who had been working behind the scenes to get this film made in the first place. This wasn't just a role she was handed. She fought for this project. She believed in it. She wanted to tell this story. Sweeney had previously told People magazine she was super excited to take on the role and had even hoped to meet Kim Novak herself. After these comments, though, that meeting might be a little more awkward than she imagined. And here is the larger conversation that nobody is talking about enough. Kim Novak has voiced such strong disapproval of the film's casting and narrative direction that the biopic has now been shelved indefinitely. The film is shelved. It is not happening, at least not right now. One interview, 5 words, and an entire movie gets put on ice. That is the power of a Hollywood legend who has nothing left to lose. Here's what I want you to sit with when this video ends. Kim Novak and Sammy Davis Jr. were torn apart in 1958 because America couldn't handle what they were. Mob threats, studio executives, gossip columns weaponized to destroy them. Almost 70 years later, Hollywood wants to tell that story. And the woman who lived it is still alive, still watching, and still refusing to let anybody get it wrong. Kim Novak has always maintained that her romance with Sammy Davis Jr. was built on having so much in common, a deep connection rooted in who they truly were. Not the sexual dynamic that she fears a Sydney Sweeney-led film would put at the center of the story. That is not a casting complaint. That is a woman protecting the truth of the most important chapter of her life, from people who were not there. You can agree or disagree with how she said it, but you cannot tell me that at 93 years old, Kim Novak doesn't still know exactly what she wants the world to remember. And that is actually kind of legendary. That is the full story. And if it moved you the way it moved me, putting it together. Tales from the Psyche is where you come for exactly this. The stories behind the stories, the history that headlines forget. If you are not subscribed yet, do it right now. And if you know somebody who needs to hear this story, share this video with them tonight. I will see you in the next one.